the raw, represent everyone as you and I verse. We're gonna do a video on the moon in Aries with the sun in Leo. But first, we're gonna get into the music. This is called Third Person on my Origins album. We're gonna get into it. Conscious in pursuit of president, speaking dollars, that's my president's elevated, overthrow the president, blowing better than it's ever been. A young Anglo-American, golly, how we swiftly mixed with recipe, and the custody belief, how I vibrate, zone and found myself. A with the vision, heaven elemental, periodic verse hidden inside. 47, you'll be astonished, chronic oogadotis smoking out my lungs, pack a punch, that's sour weed. Make my eyes bleed, broken vision picture like my elemental balance, Mary Pick each other's green, make my sharpest balance. Truly want a lady, but I'm blessed, truly wanna thank ya. Truly wanna thank ya to my creator, Malakati. Love renaissance to the fruitless, it's all love from up above. Switching legs, gripping on the wheel again to the fifth dimension. Face a whole 7 in a sit-in. Indian style, dude. Tripping blood united too. But don't pass, trump the blood, fool. Stop the disc killing concerts. Inspire me to drop the bomb first. All these bitches made the leaders say they go the truly golden leaders. For this gang, man, so grab a heater. Cold as Alaska, we all King Kunta. To these martial law pursuers. Another dead by police or interracial beef. Ground in the melting pot, divide and conquer. How they plan to feast. So yeah, let's get into it. We got the moon in Aries with the sun in Leo. And the moon in Aries is all about feeling comfortable being passionate, essentially. And the sun in Leo is all about taking action on the stage. So essentially, passions are on stage. And that's essentially what we got going on with this moon and sun, right? So the moon is going to conjunct the North Node and Chiron at this point in time. The North Node is all about your uncomfortable circumstance that you're trying to reach towards. So essentially, your purpose is an uncomfortable circumstance situation that you have to continue to work towards, right? And then with that being said, Chiron is also in Aries, right? And Chiron is the moon healer. So with this being said, we're also going to be in the same space emotionally as our individuality being wounded. So like the wounded healer is very knowledgeable and wise because they've been through the pain and things like that, and they know how to utilize pain and how to teach people about how to work with it instead of against it. So it's either we're feeling comfortable being passionate at this point in time, or we're feeling uncomfortable in the passions. And keep in mind, whenever the moon is in Aries, everybody's kind of in their own individuality and things like that, and they feel like everything's all about oneself. And with this being said, you don't want to get too wrapped up into one's ego into a space that, you know what I'm saying, it becomes non-beneficial to a point where whenever you're trying to feel comfortable or other people are trying to feel comfortable, you kind of rub people the wrong way. No homo pause, you know what I'm saying? And with that being said, you want to be in that space where it's beneficial to actually work with other people and work with others' individuality instead of work against it. So essentially, we're feeling comfortable on the stage being passionate at this point in time. And with this being said, we're also going to be moving forward to the sextile alignment, which is a 60-degree angle. And keep in mind, there's a whole lot of energy being sextiled with the moon in Aries, right? So we got Mars being in Gemini. We also have Jupiter being in Gemini and Pluto being in Aquarius, right? So I like to break down Pluto and Aquarius first, based on this circumstance situation being feeling comfortable, seeing the opportunity to have a deep transformation or change in one's life. That's what's going on with the moon sextile and Pluto, right? And then with the moon sextile and Mars, it's going to be feeling passionate about our intentions and communicating about these passions and intentions, right? Based on it being Mars and Gemini. And then the moon sextile and Jupiter is also seeing the opportunity to expand based on us feeling comfortable being passionate and communicating this expansion. And we also have the moon trining the sun, Mercury, and Venus, right? So moon trining the sun is what I'm kind of breaking down at the beginning, being the passions of the stage. So, or passions being on stage. So we're having the gift to feel comfortable taking action at this point in time. based on them both being fire signs, which is Moon in Aries being a fire, cardinal fire, and the Sun in Leo being a fixed fire. So essentially, we're initiating and creating new ways of feeling comfortable about taking action upon our fixed vision or our fixed, fixed aspect of the stage, being the Sun in Leo. Then we also have the Moon trine in Mercury, right? So the Moon trine in Mercury is going to be feeling comfortable having the gift to think about our vision and things like that. And the Moon trine in Venus is going to be feeling comfortable as well, being passionate about our visions of our values. So essentially, the vision that we see, we are valuing at that point in time, and also being passionate towards it as well, and feeling comfortable being passionate about what we value. And last but not least, we also have the Moon opposing Lilith. So we also have the Moon opposing the South Node as well. So the Moon opposing Lilith is either adding on or opposing to your darkest moment or most embarrassing moment when you relate. So essentially, you feeling passionate and feeling comfortable being passionate, maybe in a circumstance situation where it's actually kind of embarrassing to relate. But essentially, Moon in Aries doesn't really deal with too much of being embarrassed based on them being the individual. So essentially, if you're feeling comfortable with your own individuality, it's not going to be in a circumstance situation where you actually are feeling like it's a non-beneficial thing to add on to relating. And we also have, like I say, the South Node being in Libra, right? So the South Node being in Libra is feeling comfortable relating at this point in time. So, the South Node is all about like our comfortable space, you know what I'm saying? And they also have the Moon being in Aries, right? So it's feeling passionate relating about things that we've had in our past life, or, you know what I'm saying? Things that we're actually comfortable with at this point in time. This is going to be kind of a quick little video, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go ahead and break down all the rising signs right now. So we also have, like I say, I'm gonna go from the Aries all the way to Taurus, you know what I'm saying? Taurus is obviously having Aries in the 12th house. So Aries rising or Aries first house, Aries ascendant is going to be either feeling personally comfortable in their individuality or being uncomfortable in your individuality. So essentially, if you're on the higher octave, you feel comfortable being oneself and being passionate about your individuality. If you're on the lower octave, you're in a space where you're kind of uncomfortable being passionate at this point in time about your personal life and your own circumstance, situation, or your personal affairs. And that's like kind of not a very not a very constant thing for Aries. Like Aries is generally feeling comfortable being oneself, but essentially, if you've been in so many circumstances, situations, excuse me, where you kind of been shot down, or like you've been experiencing this Chiron energy to the point where like I'm so wounded being oneself that you actually kind of want to adapt or be kind of conformist to the circumstance, situation outside of oneself. So pretty much just feel comfortable with your personal affairs and being in your individuality at this point in time to be on that higher octave Aries rising. And then moving forward, the Pisces rising is going to have Aries in the second house. So essentially it's valuing their passion or feeling comfortable in your individuality and that you're actually valuing. So with this being said, the second house is, like I say, value of a person, place, thing, or idea. So essentially the people that you're around, you're going to be valuing the people that are themselves or individuals, or the places that are very individualistic. Like, for example, being at school isn't so individual and isn't so much of an individuality. It's more of kind of like a conformist kind of circumstance situation. But if you're in a space that you or a place that you actually can be your own self and be an individual, like for example, like if you value being on YouTube, that could be a place, that could be your own individual, and you know what I'm saying, you could value individuality and you could see others being individuals, just for example. And if you're on that higher octave, you're essentially being around individuals that you can actually value their own individuality, and you value your own individuality to the point where you know you're a person of value and worth, and you also know the people around you are people of value and worth as well. So essentially you can build together, you know what I'm saying, and have your own passion be put to the forefront. And moving forward, the Aquarius rising is going to have the third house being an Aries, and the third house is all about your environment or your immediate spaces. So essentially, you're going to be seeing the opportunity in your environment to communicate passionately and things like that. And If you're on that lower octave, you want to see who's in your actual environment that you actually need to shed at this point in time. Keep in mind this is a waning moon right before we have the new moon in Leo, right? So we're going to be in that circumstance situation where you need to, you know what I'm saying, salute Jessica Gomez and Ocho Watt Jeffrey, you know what I'm saying? With this being said, um, like I say, Aquarius and having Aries in the third house is seeing that opportunity in your environment. So essentially, you're seeing the opportunity of who to shed in your environment and who's actually not being their own individual. You know what I'm saying, and who's not being genuine to oneself at this point in time, or you're actually seeing people in your environment that are being their own individual self, and you can also be your own individual self, and boom, you know what I'm saying, you can communicate about that passion or that individuality. And moving forward, the Capricorn is a square to the Aries, right? So the Capricorn needs to learn to be more original with their expression, or they're original with their vision and things like that. So essentially, they're going to be in a space where they're either comfortable in their home or uncomfortable in their home. So it's like you have to learn to be more comfortable being your own individual in the home. I'm saying, and be comfortable around the individuals in your home as well, or people that are private to you. I'm saying, or people that are close to your heart. So it's like that learning process for the Capricorn. But the Capricorn shouldn't always be just making sense. They should also be being passionate and learning to be more passionate about what they got going on in their home, and also be passionate about what others got going on in their home, and not be so selfish and all about oneself. You know what I'm saying? Just based on them being that cardinal earth sign, they always want to logisticalize and practicalize a new way of thinking about and thinking about themselves, and thinking about how to actually have that be a business and things like that, and stand on business about that. So like I said, the Capricorn needs to learn to be more individualistic, but also appreciate other individuals within their home. You know what I'm saying? And make other people feel comfortable like they feel comfortable. Moving forward, the Sagittarius rising is going to have the fifth house being in Aries, and this fifth house in Aries is a trine, right? So they're going to have the gift to express their individuality at this point in time. So Sagittarius either feels comfortable expressing their passions, or they feel uncomfortable expressing their passions on the lower octave. So essentially, for the Sagittarius, I would say that if you're on the lower octave, you want to get in a space where you actually feel comfortable expressing your passions and see what you're actually passionate about, and in turn express that. Moving forward, the Scorpio rising is having the sixth house being an Aries. Essentially, that's like routine individuality or your individual work at this point in time. And the Scorpio may misunderstand, you know what I'm saying? The Scorpio doesn't deal too well with the Aries energy, you know what I'm saying? Because Scorpio is like that internal Mars, like they have their internal passions, but at this point in time, everybody's going to be feeling comfortable in their external passions and being externally passionate about saying their circumstance situation. So like Aries is already I'm saying burning through reality, and Scorpio is more like, oh, how could I actually manipulate this circumstance in the water and stay behind the scenes? So that's where the Scorpio kind of misunderstands that they need to be more external or extroverted at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? And also be more individual, and be an individual about their routine and pattern, and not be so like conformist, like I say. Like the Libra is more the relating sign, and the conformist sign, and Aries is more of the individual sign, and just being in your own individual passion. So like I say, for an example, like Scorpio's 12th house is Libra. So like their actual dream, illusion, and nightmare is being relatable and things like that, and relating to others, but it's also in their routine and pattern to be that individual in their own in their own individual way, or work on their own individuality, and things like that. So yeah, with the Scorpio rising, I would essentially say if you're on that lower octave, you want to see what you can actually be routinely passionate about, and feel comfortable being externally passionate about that on a routine basis. Moving forward, the Libra rising is having the seventh house being at Aries. The seventh house is all about your relations or relationships, right? So essentially, the Libra can either add on or oppose, I'm saying, to their relationships at this point in time, or relating with individuals. So essentially, if you're on that lower octave, you want to see who can I actually find that I can relate with and things like that, or who do I need to shed to actually achieve new relations whenever we have this new moon. So yeah, that's pretty much as simple, clear cut for the Libra. It's either you're around people that you feel comfortable being passionate about, and communicate that passion, or you feel uncomfortable communicating your passions at this point in time and relating those passions. Moving forward, the Virgo rising is having the eighth house being in Aries, and the eighth house is all about transformation or rebirth or behind the scenes circumstance situations. So essentially, the Virgo is having a transformed individuality, or they're feeling comfortable being passionate about their transformation, being their own individual at this point in time. But also, the Virgo may misunderstand, kind of like to the Scorpio. The Virgo likes to make sense and be practical about things and be adaptable to the circumstance situation instead of just go ahead and being their own individual self and saying be the first to do something. The Virgo likes to see, okay, it's worked for other people, so that eventually, essentially, that will work for me as well, being that logistical and they being that logistical energy, so to speak. So at this point in time, if you're on that lower octave, where you actually feel uncomfortable transforming your individuality, you want to see, okay, what can I actually be passionate about, or something? What is something that I can be passionate about, and transform that. You know what I'm saying, to be on a higher octave and have that Phoenix energy about. And essentially, the Phoenix energy is like rising from the ashes. So, what is a circumstance situation that you can feel internally passionate about, but also bring that internal passion out and feel comfortable with it? Moving forward, the Leo rising is having the ninth house being in Aries, and the ninth house is all about experience, knowledge, and wisdom. I'm saying also travel. So essentially, the Leo is going to be experiencing their individuality at this point in time, and they're going to have the gift to experience that individuality or experience their morality. If you're on that higher octave at this point in time, you're feeling comfortable experiencing that passion that you have for, you know, saying, your individuality, or you're on the lower octave, you know, I'm saying, at this point in time, you're going to be in a circumstance situation where you feel uncomfortable with your experience and things like that, and your individual experience at this point in time. So what I would say for that, if you're on that lower octave and you're trying to get to the higher octave, you need to find what experience you need to shed to actually bring your own individuality to the forefront and feel comfortable being passionate about your own individuality. So, like, if you're in a space that doesn't allow you to be yourself at this point in time, you need to find a space like, okay, where could I actually, what do I need to shed, and how do I need to make space for my next experience and things like that to feel comfortable in my individuality, being that Leo rising. Moving forward, the Cancer rising is having the 10th house being in Aries, and like kind of like to the Capricorn, it's also a square, right? So the Cancer needs to learn to be more passionate about their status at this point in time, or the status of their individuality. So like the Cancer needs to feel comfortable being passionate, being the first one to have this status at this point in time, or be the first one to have this blueprint, and feel comfortable. Go ahead and put all your marbles in that, you know what I'm saying, in that jar, so to speak. So essentially, you need to find a space that you can actually burn through reality and be the first one to have this status and feel comfortable with that status at this point in time. That's going to be a little bit difficult because it's that 90-degree angle. So it's like that pressure. Like, does the Cancer actually just want to feel comfortable in general, or do they want to feel comfortable being their own individual and saying and being passionate about their status? And that's kind of like that lower and higher octave right there. Either you feel comfortable, you know what I'm saying, just being apart, you know what I'm saying, and being your own individual within the group, and saying, and that being your career, or do you want to be the first one to have this status at this point in time and feel passionate about that status? And that's that higher octave, where you're the first one doing something, but you're also feeling comfortable being that first one doing it with the Cancer. Then moving forward, the Gemini rising is having the 11th house being in Aries, right? And that 11th house for the Gemini is a sextile, or seeing the opportunity. So essentially, the Gemini is going to see the opportunity to associate their individuality with others, or be in this group that is also associative to a point where they're passionate about being associative. If you're on that lower octave, being that Gemini rising, you need to see, okay, who do I need to shed, or what group do I need to shed to actually be more passionate amongst this group? And I'm saying, who in the group, or am I just the one in the group that's kind of like the odd one out, so to speak? Whenever I'm being my own individual self, I'm actually not kind of like celebrated and things like that. So you want to find where you're celebrated, not tolerated, is what I would give the Gemini at this point in time to get on the higher octave. And last but not least, the Taurus rising is being passionate about their individual dreams, or being passionate, I'm saying, on their illusion or their nightmare, so to speak. So you pretty much just want to be in a space where you can be externally passionate about your dreams, and you can be externally passionate about maybe your illusions that may be dreams and things like that as well. So it's like kind of that space where either you're dreaming big, I'm saying that dream is so big for people that actually don't actually comprehend it. They're in a space where, wow, I can't even understand why your dream is so big or what your dream is. Or you're in a space where that's just a straight up illusion. But at this point in time, you want to be passionate about that illusion and things like that and feel comfortable being externally passionate. Or if you see you're just being completely delusional, it's not beneficial at all. I'm saying it's not reality. I'm saying Taurus could probably see that pretty quick based on them being an earth sign. They would be in a space where, okay, what is the dream that I need? And I'm saying passionate about a new dream and things like that, or be the first one to dream this new dream, so to speak. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Salute. You know I'm saying? Much love and hop back. You know what I'm saying? And I got my cash app below. Support the movement you need to be in tune with. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. I'm saying if you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell so you get notified right whenever I drop my videos and things like that. So yeah, like I say, much love and holla back and peace and love if you believe in all that.